Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our fourth webinar in our series of dealing with COVID-19. This afternoon, we're going to be looking at online simulation and certification training with the Russell Partnership Technology and the STR Centre. We've got Peter Russell, who's ready to go from London. It's 9 o'clock in the morning for him. Peter will step us through his work for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes, and then we'll open the floor up for questions and answers and discussion for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then Steve Hood will heroically be joining us at about 3:30 Nashville time to step us through the STR Share Centre. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Peter. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Paul. I'm just going to share my screen. So I'm going to put that up for you so I can share my presentation. So that should be coming up for all of you now. So right, there we go. Hello, as Paul said, my name is Peter Russell. I'm from Russell Partnership Technology, and I'm going to share with you some information about our online programs that we deliver. I know that there'll be some of you attending who use some or maybe a few of our programs, and some of you who may not use our programs yet. Just to be very clear from the offset, we are doing a lot to support all of our current partners during this time, and we're also seeing many new partners join and start to utilize our programs. We are not viewing this strictly as a sales platform. This is about how we can support you. There are lots of things we know that you're trying to achieve within your classrooms, and a lot of our programs can help to address that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk you through our company structure just very briefly to tell you who we are. For those of you who don't know much about us, we are a collection of 3 companies: consulting, technology, and our foundation. On the consulting side, we lead transformational food strategy projects, and we were the food consultants who delivered the Olympic Games in London. We're hoping we'll move on to deliver Paris next. We also are working on Expo 2020 in Dubai. The technology part of the business is what I'm going to talk to you about today. This encompasses a whole range of our online simulations and learning programs, all focused around hospitality, hotels, food and beverage, and tourism. We very recently set up our foundation, which is our philanthropic arm of the company. That allows us to be able to offer our programs at reduced prices. So that is what we're doing during this time of COVID-19. So anyone who is interested in any of the things that we're doing, I'll share my email with all of you. We're very open to conversations around how we can get you up and running, and price is not the be all and end all at the moment. So that's just a little bit of framing to get things started. Now, to give all of you a bit of an overview as to how our programs work and the complexities of the differences between either online delivery and face-to-face delivery is probably the first thing to mention. So most of you now, I think everybody is in a position where you are delivering your training, learning, teaching, everything that you're doing in a fully online context. Some of you are more familiar with that, some may be less familiar. Some educational institutes may be continuing this online delivery for longer than others. And I think many of us are unaware of how long it will be before we're able to go back to face-to-face and exactly what that will look like. The key thing to say for all of the programs that we deliver is that they work just as well whether they're delivered in an online context or whether they're delivered face-to-face. That's something we've had the belief about for a long time. So that's really positive to see that that's now very much justified in terms of our viewpoint. Everything we have in terms of the program I'm going to talk to you about is accessed online. In terms of that online delivery, we have lots of resources in terms of the way that can be facilitated, which I'll talk to you about shortly. But then it's very easy to translate that back to a face-to-face delivery. So this isn't a case of potentially introducing a stopgap and saying, well, this is something we'll utilize for a while, and then we'll go back to using what we did before. Obviously, if you did want to do that, then that's fine. But it's very easy to take what we're doing with our programs, use it online, and then take it back to a face-to-face context. Second thing to mention, and I'm sure many of you are already dealing with this as well, is the difference between delivering programs in a synchronous or asynchronous fashion. Again, we've designed all of our programs, and this is not something we've had to change. It's something which is we've done historically as well, so that everything can be delivered in either way. So when I talk to you about our simulation programs, which put students into the position of managing virtual hospitality businesses, those can be delivered either in a synchronous way, where all the students move forward through the process at the same time. Of course, it's important to be very clear with that. So we have to set clear times and clear goals and parameters for that. And that still means the students move forwards in that linear fashion and they move all together. The other option is where they move forward individually. Now, depending on size of class and how your courses are delivered, will probably depend on which of these methods is best for you. The learning points don't change, and that's a key thing I'm probably going to mention a few times in terms of learning points. Regardless of whether we're delivering online or face-to-face, whether we're synchronous or asynchronous, the learning points are the most important thing, so they do not change, and the learning experience differs in terms of the delivery, but it does not differ in terms of what the students are actually learning. Final points around this is whether we're working individually or as groups. And again, this, as I mentioned, will have an impact on how you're delivering with your students. So if you have a smaller group of students and you can easily group them together, then working in groups is always a good idea. If it's more challenging for you to group your students together and have them work together, either due to connectivity issues or due to the size of the group, then also it's very easy for us to set our programs up so that you can give your students individual access and they can go forward in their own time. Linking on from that, when we do have students working together, a really important thing about utilizing programs such as ours is that around teamwork. Now, of course, if you have your students working individually, that teamwork element is different. But of course, it's always important to think how we work with ourselves as well. So team working can be viewed both ways. A lot of the video conferencing software that's out there, Zoom especially, like we're using today, it's very easy to give students access if we're having a group session to then split them into breakouts and they can work in their teams. So teamwork is a very important thing to be able to continue. It's obviously a major learning point that we make an emphasis of when we're in the classroom. So we want to try and retain that when we're online as well. Of course, if we're teaching in an online way, we want to make sure it's as close to what we were doing in the classroom as possible. Getting the students to collaborate is really important because, again, this is part of those soft skills in terms of thinking through how do we make decisions? How do we think critically? And again, all of our programs are putting students into the position where they need to think in that kind of way. Not to do other types of learning a disservice, all of our programs focus on experiential learning. So the critical thinking aspect here is definitely in the forefront of the mind. Students have to be active during these processes. All the programs that we have put the students into these active learning environments, and it makes sure that they need to consolidate what they're learning in the other parts of their modules and courses, and they need to then put it into practice. They can't simply sit there and be a passenger. It's not a case of being able to just download something and go, well, I've read that, so I've done it. Everything that we provide has something where they have to interact, and that means that brings them forward through that learning experience. The other thing with the simulations is the decision-making element is really key here. So constantly presenting students with these decisions means that they then have to put these things into practice. By utilizing a simulation, what we're doing is we're giving students the opportunity of trying out the things that they've learned. With many concepts, it can be very hard to fully understand them until you've actually experienced it. So a key learning point around simulations is all about giving people the opportunity to try something before they do it for real. The old example is that you wouldn't want to go into a plane with a pilot who hadn't had many hours within a simulator. So the same should be true in hospitality. Very important to give students the opportunity to practice, become more familiar with the mechanics, the metrics, the decisions, and all the other things they need to do around the business operations. A key element of utilizing simulations too is looking at the risk and the reward of the decision making that I talked about in the step before. So based on the opportunities and based on the scenarios, the students will need to make decisions. It's not a very formulaic path. there is a whole host of decisions the students can make, and all of our programs are adaptable, and that means that they need to evolve with the program and they need to make decisions in a way where they do take risks in order to get those rewards. I mentioned at the start about learning points, and I think that's probably one of the key things I wanted to come to at this point. So one of the key things we always say with our programs and with adding any programs into either a classroom or an online learning context is that the first thing to start with is the learning points, and then integrate into your curriculum whatever it is, the program, the material that we're talking about. That's something we've got a great deal of experience with. I'm more than happy to talk with people about that and answer any questions. And of course, if anyone is interested in moving forward with any of these items, it's part of the service that we provide to help ensure that whatever we provide to you is integrated fully into your curriculum. That is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing that I'm going to say about all the programs that we have. So moving on to the resources, I mentioned that resources are really important, and at the moment these resources are, if anything, even more important than they are when we're in a face-to-face context, because we're in this online environment. We had lots of things in development which we were due to release later this year, and we brought forward our development of those and have now already released those into the marketplace for all of our existing partners, based on the COVID-19 situation and this rapid move to an online environment. Included within that, first of all, is for all of our simulation programs, online train the trainer modules. That means that anyone who's teaching, facilitating any of our programs will now have access to a train the trainer module. Now that's interesting both for existing faculty who would like to improve their skills and learn more about what the programs do and how they work, but even more useful for anybody new who's coming on board, because again, this provides a very rapid solution to get up to speed as quickly as possible with all of our programs. With that online train the trainer program, that doesn't mean that we don't still provide personal support. We still personally support all of our partners when starting to use our programs. Next thing to say is that we've developed student onboarding programs for all of our simulations as well. So for any of you who are utilizing our programs who haven't had any messaging on that yet, if you have missed anything, then do email me and I'll pass that information to you. So again, what we've looked to provide here, one of the key things about utilizing our programs is it's very important for the students to be given the information on how to utilize the program right at the start. Normally that would be done by the teacher in the classroom. Of course, that's getting more difficult if we're online. So we've developed online modules which give students all the introduction to the program. It walks them through all that they need to know, how to use the program, how to read the reports, how to understand things, how to get started, and then hints and tips and things to get them moving, and it walks them through all the decision areas and items that they need to be aware of. That takes a huge burden away from you as teachers and educators from having to do that. Now, of course, when we move back into a classroom environment, that may be something which people want to go back towards doing, or they may want to continue with this online format, and then they can use that classroom time for something else as well. We know that face-to-face time with students is very valuable. So if there are elements like this that can be delivered in an online environment, then that's all the better. It's important to say that all the things I'm talking about here are part of the inclusive package that we give to all of our clients. Nothing here is additional. It's not a case of having to think about extra things for the onboarding or the trainers. Everything here is part of what we do. Final thing to say here is that we deliver a lot of different scenarios with our program. So if I take, for example, HOTS, which is one of our main hotel simulation programs that I'll talk to you more about in a moment, we have lots of different scenarios which allow you to look at the decision-making process in different ways. So we can look at different styles of hotels. We can look at hotels with different numbers of rooms. We can look at different environments as well. So for example, we have a very bespoke simulation created within an area of high tourism. So if we're looking at this as part of a tourism project, then we have a key scenario already made. Now integrated into that, we have historical SDR data, which builds that platform. Students then step into the management of a hotel and then they carry on the decision-making process moving forwards, and they're tasked with achieving key goals for a particular hotel in that particular market. So that's really interesting, and there are lots of other things like that in terms of those customizations that we can do. So again, key things around all that we do is everything's customizable and everything's specific to you and the things that you need to do. So I mentioned these train the trainer programs, so I wanted to just give you a little bit of a view as to how this works. I mentioned the instructor train the trainer. This is what it would look like, and the example I put on the screen at the moment is a video which is partway through the orientation. This is explaining how the STR star report within the simulation works. So obviously Steve is coming to talk to us all very shortly in about 20 minutes. We work very closely with STR, and we include the STR star benchmark report within our simulations. This screen at the moment is showing you the online train the trainer module. This walks instructors through every page, and all these videos help to guide you through all the things that you need to know. It's very simple. It makes it very quick and easy to get up and running. We had a new partner come on board to start utilizing one of our simulations 2 weeks ago, and they started teaching within the classroom within 4 days of gaining the access. So it can be very quick in terms of getting up and running with this. Now on the screen, I'm showing you the student onboarding. Now you'll notice it's all within the same learning environment, so it looks the same. Very easy for students to get access to this. We share direct links with all of our partners. Students sign into this, they can go through all of the process in one go. They can come out, they can go back in and pick up where they left off. And this provides them with all that support and all the information they need to know when getting up and running with these programs. This has been a great deal of work for us, but it's something we're incredibly proud of. So this is a really valuable thing as to support all the programs that we do. Now, I know I'm telling you lots of information, but I want to give you just a very brief overview of the programs that we have to offer. The first section of programs that we have are the simulation programs that I mentioned to you. Now, all of these programs simulate the real world. They're all modeled on all of the real life data from hotels, restaurants, tourism, etc. And these programs place students into that active learning environment, all with that goal of making sure that they're better prepared to move into industry. Now, there's a few key things to say here too. Now, these programs work just as well at entry level as they do during the mid-level part of your teaching, or potentially near the end of the student journey. Key thing is always about that preparation of students for the industry and helping them improve their employability. Another thing to consider with the simulations is that I know many of you will have internships and things like that worked into your curriculum. Now, while a simulation is certainly no replacement for a live internship and going out into the real world, simulations are a really good way of giving students an active environment, which is similar to that. So again, it wouldn't necessarily be a direct replacement, but again, these are the sorts of things that we need to think about now we're delivering online. The first program I'm showing you at the moment is our HOTS hotel simulation program. Now, this is a full service hotel simulation program, and that simulates everything in terms of the decision-making process within a hotel. Very similar to that, we have our RevSim program, which is also a hotel simulation program. This is slightly more focused around forecasting and revenue management decisions and the market dynamics around how we make those decisions. But there are a lot of similarities between those programs. We also have our Asset Sim program. Now, again, this is focused around hotel management. This time, however, we're stepping into the shoes of an asset manager, and we're thinking about our hotel from the view of an asset rather than from an operational view as the previous two programs. Next, we have our F&B Sim program, and as the name suggests, this is focused around food and beverage management. So again, we're stepping into a hotel context. This time we're stepping into the position of being the food and beverage director. So now we're responsible, rather than selling bedrooms, we're responsible for meals, costing menus, cost of sales, and all these things in relation to that. In terms of the way these programs are set up, so these simulations focus on competing businesses. So this competition element is really important. It really does fire students up and helps them to get involved with the learning experience. Now that can be one of the hardest things to do when we're delivering content online. It can be very hard to build enthusiasm, but by delivering things like a simulation, it's naturally very engaging because of the competitive element. So that competitive element is with the system in terms of making decisions against the simulation, and of course against the other students as well. And again, that really does help build that learning experience because it makes students want to compete in order to be able to be better than their peers. We would always suggest placing students into a developing market, and that means that we're tasking students with solving problems. We're not giving them a perfect situation. We need to make sure they're tasked with making some active decisions. The majority of the time, the goal that we set students within the programs is to achieve the best balanced scorecard. Now, to give you a view of what the balanced scorecard looks like within one of our programs, I put one on the screen for you now. Now, many businesses in the world use balanced scorecards. Now, this helps build that competitive element, and again, it's another learning point about another reporting method as to how things work. Also, as part of this onboarding process, the important thing is to give students the full picture of the virtual hotel, the virtual restaurants, and all the things that they're taking on board. So we give students the overview of the hotels they're stepping in to manage, and then of course they move in and they start to actively make the decisions. So on the screen at the moment, I'm just showing you an example of the facilities and services for how this would be set up. The hotels that we set up within our simulations are all very closely focused on real world hotels. And it really is as close to managing a real hotel as you can get. Now, we deliver these same programs with the industry. So we deliver these programs with entry-level managers, mid-level managers, all the way up to general managers. We do that with major hotel chains, including Marriott, Hilton, Wyndham, IHG, Accor, and the list goes on. Now, built into our programs, and again, I'm still within the hotel program here, it's really important to focus on the key methodologies which are out there within the industry. Now, within our hotel program here, we have our own version of TripAdvisor. You may notice this looks very similar to the real TripAdvisor. Now, within this element, the students will receive real-time reviews. They will then make decisions based on the reviews they get, and they can also practice how they respond as well. That's a really, really positive element of the program. In much the same way, we give students access to a social media hub. And again, here they're tasked with responding to guests, and they can run promotions and build marketing platforms in here as well. I showed you earlier on the Train the Trainer, the element that we have built in with our work with STR. Now we include the STR star benchmark reporting format within the simulation. Many of you I know will potentially already work with STR. Some of you may deliver the cheer. Our hotel simulation programs are designed to work perfectly alongside the cheer and any of the work that you do with STR. There's a very natural connection between the two of us, and that's why we're both presenting here this morning. This afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are. So including the STR report format within our program is something which you'll find very useful when teaching that, because it gives students that real life experience of utilizing this data, and then they make their own decisions based on this data, and then they can see the cause and the effect based on these decisions. Now I've got two more things to show you, because I want to make sure that I leave plenty of time for questions. One of the new things that we've launched very recently is our revenue management application. Now this application is focused only on revenue management. So here we're focused on setting room rates, managing marketing, and managing channels. So it's very important here that our focus is on maximizing occupancy, maximizing RevPAR, ADR, and overall contribution. Again, this is all designed in a very online, competitive format, which is very easy to use and very easy to integrate into your classroom. The second part of this program is that there's a very key focus within the revenue management app around displacement. So when we're managing a hotel, it's really important to think about how we sell our bedrooms and who we sell them to. So within this environment, Students will be presented with offers from people wishing to block buy group rooms, and they'll need to decide whether to accept or reject that business. So again, all these programs are hardwired with all these key learning points that you're trying to communicate within the classroom. Okay, the final thing that I want to tell you about before I open the floor to any questions, we have an online program. Now, this is not a simulation, this is an online learning environment, and this program is called Hospitality Business Acumen. Now, this program is a series of 4 modules which are focused on delivering the information that students need to help convert the knowledge they have from the classroom and then bridge the gap towards the understanding that they're going to need to have when they move into the industry. So this is especially useful for students nearing the completion of their studies. We noticed a very sort of prominent trend that students had excellent theory, but then when they moved into the industry, they found it difficult to translate that into what they needed to know for the actual industry application. And that was something which people in the industry were wanting as well. So we developed a program called Hospitality Business Acumen. As I mentioned, this is 4 modules. This walks through the Finance 101 and how to apply that within the industry, how to analyze, read and understand reports, how to communicate that effectively to people within the industry, and then how to focus on business goals in terms of management goals, department goals, and ownership goals. This program again is delivered within our bespoke online learning management system. So you'll notice this looks very similar to the Train the Trainer and the user onboarding. So this program is delivered fully in this environment. It walks students through those 4 modules. It includes a great wealth of information to help students get ready for the industry. This is something we have delivered for many years. It's something we've delivered as part of other courses, and now it's something we're opening out fully to the marketplace. The program ends with a 50-question exam to ensure that students have read and understood the information, and at the end of the process they're awarded with a certificate provided they pass the exam with 80% or higher at the end. Okay, I know that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but I wanted to make sure that I kept to around 25 minutes, which I think I've pretty much done there. So I will open out to any questions from the audience. Thank you very much. I'll look into the chat and see if anyone's got any questions.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Peter. That's incredibly informative. There's an absolute truckload of stuff there. Before we go into questions, can I jump to Jane? Jane, you're just going to give us a quick update on the Business Alliance page.
Unmute myself first, apologies. Yeah, so what we've done, just to make it easier for everyone to find information about the Business Alliance page, we've added it to the home page. So you simply have to go to the-ice.org, and then down the bottom, you'll see this tab, the Global Network, more information, and that will bring you to our 3 Business Alliance partners where you can actually go into their page, and that will take you directly to the different things that they offer you. So for Peter, it'll show you the simulation package. For Steve, it'll have his CHIA and the dates that he's running his CHIA, including the calendar. And for Hallie, it has the information of the webinars that they hold for free for all of our members as well. So that's where you find all of the information on our Business Alliance partners for everyone. There's a lot of information on the website, so this webinar is providing us a great time to actually help you navigate it. So that's how you can find that quite easily. It's also found under who we are and our global network, which is where you'll find all of the member institutions as well.
Terrific. Thanks for that, Jane. Now, I understand that Steve is actually out of bed and has joined us.
I think Steve deserves a big round of applause.
I was going to say a huge round of applause.
Good morning or good afternoon, evening.
Yep. Welcome, Steve. Surely there's got to be a little emoji that we can click. Peter, I'm going to ask your forbearance and suggest that given that Steve has joined us, that we get him straight into his presentation, and then we hold any and all questions until after Steve's presentation.
Perfect.
Okay, all right, so everybody, I'll now introduce Steve Hood from STR Share Centre, who will talk to us about the STR data network and how that can be used in our remote teaching situation. So Steve, over to you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Great to be with everybody. I saw the list of schools involved, so it's really good to be able to see you all and spend time with you today. Jane, if you give me ability, I'll start. Okay, I can share my screen. Perfect. I sure can. Here we go. And can everyone see that? All right, let me go ahead. What I'll do today is just give you a quick introduction to the certification training that we offer, and I'm going to jump right in, and I'll go through some of this really quickly. Most of the schools involved here already have a pretty good understanding of STR, but this is our parent company, and just gives you a little bit of an idea of who we are. We track data all over the world, and we get a huge amount of hotel data. We have close to 70,000 customers globally, and even now, there are a fair number of hotels that are closed. But the good news is we're seeing them come back online. There was a huge number of hotels that were closed in China. Almost all of those, a really high percentage of those hotels, are reopened and back in business. And so that's the kind of stuff we track. We track their performance data. We have a lot of different types of data. But this is our parent company, and what we do. These are our offices all over the world. And basically what that company, what STR does is STR sells data to hotel companies. You notice at the very bottom of this slide, they sell data to hotel companies, tourism organizations, consulting firms, other types of businesses. What the Share Center does, and that's the program that I run, is we basically make that same data available to universities for free. So the word share stands for supporting hotel-related academic research and education. That's the meaning of the name. And our mission is to provide universities around the world with volumes of different types of data, other resources, and that's really what we're focused on today. Some of the other resources, so for research, student projects, and for use in the classroom. We have over 900 universities involved from 75 different countries, and we partner with lots of different academic organizations, and it's always an honor to partner with the ICE and to work and serve the member schools of the ICE. So this is STR's way to give back to academia. This just shows you the different types of data. Now that's, we could talk about that another time. I chatted with Craig about and Jane about the possibility of sharing some of the data, especially industry update related to COVID-19, and we can do that. We're doing some webinars now, and be great to be able to come back and do that, because we can provide data related to what's going on to professors for research, for use in the classroom, so they can see what's going on. The things going on in the Philippines are very unusual right now related to the impact. It's very different than other places of the world. So it's important for people to be able to understand that. They can do research related to that. And in places like the UK, the differences between big cities and little cities, important to see the differences there. Lots of stuff going on, and interesting things, and then thinking forward towards recovery and what might that look like. And of course, people are looking back at historic data to try to predict the current recovery. So lots of data, and don't hesitate to let me know if there's any kind of data that you'd be interested in. Please drop me an email, and we can talk more about that, and I'll be glad to show you samples as well. Then in addition to the data, we provide a wide range of training related resources, and I'll be showing you some of the training programs and some of the student certifications that we have available, and we'll talk more about those in just a minute. These are training programs that we have. We break those down into different categories. Now, the certifications utilize a fair number of these training programs. So the first four that you see here are all packaged into the CHIA certification, which I'll introduce you to in a minute, and the second four are packaged into the CATA certification that we'll talk about as well. Then there are some other ones that I will talk about, and we're talking to some schools. We have some schools interested in maybe, you know, I don't see these necessarily as certifications, but I do see them as potential certificates, and one in hot topics, another in worldwide survey. Some other things in progress: tourism, industry analytics, revenue management. We are working with a company, with RevMe, not a company, but a group of professors to do a revenue management certification. Analyzing and visualizing hospitality and tourism data with Tableau is a training program we're working on. And profitability, we're calling this accounting hands-on, because this is a training program that applies accounting principles to our accounting data and shows you lots of different exercises and case scenarios and things like that. So those are some other things that we're working on. This is just a quick look at the Hot Topics program, and we're currently working to make this a certificate. It covers, you know, future current issues, hot topics, future challenges around the world, breaks them into different categories. But we're currently looking at making this a certificate program. If anybody has interest in working with us on there, we are looking for schools to pilot this. This is another one, a worldwide survey of the hotel industry. We understand that your students understand the hotel industry in your area of the world. They may know what it looks like in the Netherlands. They may not have a clue what it looks like in Asia or in Latin America or Mideast Africa. And that's basically what this is doing. It's introducing them to the huge world of the hotel industry and what it looks like in every area of the world. Just a quick note on our competitions, and this is related to the CATA actually, because many schools involved in the competition also offer their students to CATA, but we do market study competitions all over the world. If you're interested in more information about that, please let me know. And this is, many of your schools have participated in these competitions. We are still hoping to run, we're looking right this year in the fall, we're looking at the possibility of doing a virtual competition for the first time. So we know it's going to be a little harder for schools to get out and travel. So for this year, we're thinking in terms of doing a virtual competition in the fall. So let us know if you're interested in more information about that. So that's all just a sort of a prelim to our student certifications. So if we're going to jump in now to our certifications. We actually have 3 certifications for academics. The first one there is the certification in hotel industry and analytics. We call that the CHIA. The second one is the Hotel Industry Foundations and Introduction to Analytics, which we call the HIFIA. And then jump over the industry certification. The one at the very bottom is the CATA, Certification in Advanced Hospitality and Tourism Analytics. So 3 different certifications. If you notice there, the CHIA is offered to both academic and industry. The price is in there. We do have a developing nation rate. I show you the year we launched this certification. The exam, it's a 50-question multiple choice. And the timing basically takes about 8 to 10 hours to deliver the CHIA. So that could basically be, 4 classes of 2 hours each, or 6 classes of an hour and a half each, something like that. And there are ways to shorten that, and there are ways to expand that. So we can talk more about that. That's been offered to 20,000. Sorry, that's a little old. That's been the CHIA has been received by 20,000 people. The HIFIA is a light version of that, which I'll explain, and the CATA is an advanced version of the CHIA. So a little bit about, this is just sort of an overview. We're going to jump into the CHIA to start with, and that's the one that we launched back in 2012. It's been endorsed by the organizations that you see at the top there. We offer it jointly with AHLEI, and it has also been endorsed by HFTP, Hospitality Financial Technology Professionals. As I said, 20,000 students have received this. Hundreds of schools are offering it. Industry professionals are also been certified, thousands of industry professionals as well. So these are people who are working in companies. Many companies make it a part of the job description and say, hey, you have to have, if you don't already, you have to get this. Now that's to work in the company. Your students, when they obtain the certification, they do receive a certificate, and it is an industry recognized stamp of approval. So the CHIA designation can go on their business card on the resume. So it's no longer Paul Whitlow, it's Paul Whitlow, comma, CHIA. And that would be at the top of the resume. And most, depending upon where they're interviewing, a lot of the hotel companies are going to recognize that and identify, they'll know what that means because they use that within their own company. If they don't, obviously they're going to ask, and it gives your student an opportunity to describe what they learned. Really helps the students stand apart. We get great testimonials from students as well as from professionals in terms of, hey, we talked about what I learned here, and they didn't even let me leave, and I got the job, and before I even walked out the door. Some details about the CHIA. It is students pay for this, so there is a student cost. We offer it to professors for free, and even your research assistants and your teaching assistants can obtain this for free. The cost to students is $75, and there are emerging nation rates that drops down to $40, and there are need-based scholarships. If you have a student, the bottom line is, if you have a student that wants this, that can't afford it, all we ask is that they email us and explain the situation, and we never have turned anybody down. The testing is administered by AHLEI. We do work with them, hard copy or online exams, 50 questions, and we've offered hundreds of train-the-trainer sessions all over the world, and we're able to do that virtually, actually. So if you had a professor that would like to do this that hasn't attended a face-to-face train-the-trainer session, we're more than glad to help them prepare virtually. If they needed to do it in the summer or in the fall, we could get them up and running, and then back in the fall, we'll be back in operation doing more train-the-trainer sessions. So audience here, the most popular audience is the hospitality management students. Many schools are offering it to tourism students as well. Even, I have a lot of schools that say, hey, anybody graduating from this program is going to get this. Now, they may go work in a restaurant to start with, but after, career, job number 2 may be in a hotel, and I want them to understand the terminology and what they're going to experience in the hotel. In terms of presentation options, schools, we don't specify, where to put this or how to do it. We gave you all the materials and then let you decide. So schools are putting it in lodging operations, rooms division, revenue management, sometimes a capstone class. Sometimes schools are building a whole course around the CHIA. Sometimes they're offering it as a you know, an optional workshop on a Saturday. Some schools offer it, you know, they set it up and say 4 evenings. So for the next 4 Tuesdays, I'll be, you know, this professor will be offering the workshop, and then on the 5th one, they actually take the exam. So some schools are spreading the material over multiple classes, and they put, you know, the first 2 sections, there's 4 sections, as you'll see, they'll put the first 2 sections in one class, and then the next 2 sections in a other class. Many schools have made it mandatory. So, you know, we joke about the fact that at Cornell, it's mandatory in the freshman year. So those students have to have it there in the intro to lodging class. It's presented, so they get it either, you know, first semester, second semester of the freshman year. Many schools are like that. They're making it optional. I mean, making it mandatory. So that tends to be the biggest trend that we see. And it's very popular at the graduate level as well. Now, to pull this off, we have a comprehensive training package that we provide for your professors, and we'll walk them through this and you know, set up a time to introduce this, and we will hold their hand and make it as easy as possible to step them through this. So the training itself is in a PowerPoint. That's about a 250, 300 slide PowerPoint. Your professors can personalize that. We are making videos available now. They're videos, they're online videos. They're videos we can send you that you can provide to students. So that means we'll even do the teaching, the training for you. A professor could provide the PowerPoint to the students, have them watch the video, then schedule a class, a review session to come in. They could review the high points and see if the students have questions as well. The training includes lots of industry relevant information, tricks of the trade. There's case scenarios in there that the professor can use, and lots of different examples of analyzing hotel data, lots of sample reports as well. The PowerPoints include application exercises. Now we make these optional. The professor can utilize these however they want, but they're in there, and they can be very valuable ways to apply the material. So the professor can present the training material. They can review the training material in section 1. At the end of section 1, there's an exercise. They can assign that exercise as homework, have the students do that, submit that, and then prepare for then if they want to, they could have, in the next section, they could review the exercises, let a couple students share what they learned, but it's totally optional. They could use the exercise purely as homework as well and just keep moving on depending upon the amount of time that they have. So we provide all the data for the exercises and make that super simple. There are quizzes built into the training material. So one thing you could do is, as a professor reviews, they could go through the quiz and have the students, ensure the students understand the material. So this is a description of the CHIA. It is the leading hotel-related certification that is used in hospitality and tourism programs, you know, as I said, with 20,000 participants. Covers the foundational metrics, definitions, formulas, and methodologies. Why? Because we want your students to be able to talk the talk when they are in an interview, when they show up the first day for work. I still remember a testimonial that said the GM, I showed up to my first sales meeting and the GM was so surprised that I understood, you know, some basic terminologies and could provide meaningful input during the sales meeting because I saw this stuff. I was working with it when I learned the CHIA, and so it really makes them stand out. They learn to do the math, interpret the result, and analyze various types of data. And that's both property level data as well as market level data. So even if they show up, you know, so it doesn't matter if they show up at a hotel to work or at a tourism organization to work, they're looking at the same data that those people get on a regular basis. So that's a little bit of the description. As I said, the CHIA is broken into 4 different sections that you see right there, and here's an outline that covers the material in there. And we're more than glad to step through that and go through that with y'all in a lot of detail. This just shows some of the application exercises that we cover, and I'm going to jump through these real quick. Selecting a comp set, working with raw data, analyzing performance of a hotel. This just shows you some of the things that are included in the CHIA. Now, the next certification up is the HIFIA. The HIFIA stands for Hotel Industry Foundations and an Introduction to Analytics. We launched this in 2015. We've used this a lot in places like the Philippines. So LPU and UST are both offering the HIFIA. We do that in China quite a bit. We do that in the US, in community colleges. We do it in Europe, in vocational schools. So it is basically a shorter version. Instead of 8 hours of training, it's more like 4 to 5 hours of training. It's less content. It is honestly easier material. There is less of an emphasis on math and reports, but it still builds a good foundation. You know, one of the things we try to emphasize in the HIFIA is that the analytics, the math required for a hotel industry professional, we say it's not rocket science. It's just a few simple formulas, a few simple terminologies, and so that's the HIFIA. That is translated into Chinese. We're actually and it is actually translated into Spanish. So yeah, we're looking at utilizing that in Latin America as well. Here's the sections. So if you compare the outline of the HIFIA and the CHIA, and we'll be glad to do this with you. If you're not sure which one I want to do, we'll be glad to compare and show you exactly the differences. So these, the HIFIA, for example, will give an introduction to benchmarking, an introduction to hotel math, and an introduction to industry reports, where the CHIA is just more comprehensive. So we'll be glad to help you. If you have a question, which one should I do? We'll be glad to spend time and help you identify that. Sometimes it depends upon the student. Sometimes it depends upon their familiarity with Excel and the math required. Sometimes, honestly, it's related to the experience of the professor involved. And if the professor is brand new to this, they may feel more comfortable starting with the HIFIA, and then they may move up to the CHIA as well. And later on, we can let some of the other schools here describe what they're doing and their experiences there when it comes to the HIFIA and the CHIA as well. And then finally, the last certification is DACATA. That stands for Certification in Advanced Hospitality and Tourism Analytics. We launched this in 2018. We've conducted so far 10 train-the-trainer sessions for about 160 participants. We had a huge number of those planned this year, and we all know what happens to plans like that. We still hope to offer several in the fall. And we'll, let us know. We'll be more than glad to let you know about that. But we are, until we're back on the road again, we are doing these virtually. And so I'll explain more about that, but we can do a virtual train-the-trainer session. We have schools that are offering the CATA in the summer. And that's an interesting approach. Several of the schools that we're working with realize their students are not going to be doing internships or working in hotels in the summer, and they're offering summer programs. And, some are calling it leadership, some are calling it, some are relating it to COVID-19. And saying, hey, here is leading in adverse times or something like that. And many of them are including the CATA in that, and you'll see the natural fit there in just a minute, because you can relate it to an event or a crisis like the one we're in, and talk about how to manage during a time like this. So many schools have already started offering this, and we have lots more that are planning in the near future. As I said, a lot even in the summer and the fall. But in terms of the trainer session, if you would be interested in having your professor start this in the very near future, we'd be more than glad to help them, help prepare them and get them up and running. We personally have presented that to many schools, and I give you a few examples there. And we have even presented it to industry professionals, and that we will be transitioning this to an industry certification in the near future. Now, the certification in advanced hospitality and tourism analytics has many industry recognized endorsements. PATA has endorsed it, the Institute of Hospitality, HFTP have all endorsed it, and others are pending. So what are the features? Okay, the kata is, you know, the niche and the place that it fits. It takes hospitality and tourism analytics beyond the CHIA to advanced analytics. The CHIA would be a prerequisite, so the student would have to obtain the CHIA before the kata, and you can see why when you see the outline. There's a big emphasis on experiential learning. So participants are going to create one or more research projects where they're going to analyze data and then have to get in front of a group and talk about it. So they're really going to have to demonstrate skills. They're going to be working with data nonstop. A big emphasis on industry relevance. The training is going to provide step-by-step instructions for them to complete a professional industry quality research project. So this is going to be at least as good, and I would say in the majority of cases even better than a research project that you know, that would be done by people working in that company now. So if they, you know, if they get a job in that company, they're going to be walking in and they're going to know exactly how to do these types of research projects, and they're going to have case scenarios, and they're going to have templates that are going to be even better than the companies where they're going to go to work. Participants are going to gain hands-on experience analyzing live industry data, and there's a big emphasis on presenting their findings to an audience. I still remember an executive of a hotel company once said she needed geeks that could communicate. And what she was saying was they needed to understand the data, they needed to be able to, they needed to analyze the numbers, but they needed to present their findings, and that's really what this allows you to do. Now think of it too, when they do something like this and they go to an interview, they bring their laptop along, they open it up during the interview and say, let me show you the market study that I did last semester at Anglis, or let me show you the event impact analysis I did at Stendon. And they can, the testimonials we've received, they have literally blown the socks off the interviewers, and it's been incredible. So the kata has two requirements for the students to pass. First, they have to complete the exam, just like the CHIA 50-question multiple choice, online or hard copy. But then they also complete a professional level project, research project. And there's a choice. Now the professor decides, if the professor wants to leave it up to the students could decide, but in every case we work with, the professor has decided. So they pick either a market study, an event impact analysis, a feasibility study, or an economic analysis. So think of it, a market study. They're going to study what's going on in the hotel industry in a specific city. And the professor can break the class up into groups. We recommend groups of 3 to 6 students, and then give them whatever cities you want anywhere around the world. We provide all the data for them to do that, and you know, it just ties back to the training program. We give them specific things, and the training program shows them exactly what to do with that data. And we'll talk more about the projects in a minute. But each of the groups then would conduct a market study. They would create a PowerPoint. They would practice that, and then they would, at the end, they would present their market study. Now, a lot of the teachers that we're working with, they don't just teach it, the students don't just present it to the class, they bring in other professors. A lot of times they'll bring in alumni or advisory board members or industry professionals from the community, and they actually, the students actually gain the experience of presenting it to them. I've been to some of these, and when they're giving, the hardest one is if they give them to the professors, because the professors sometimes drill the students and start asking them questions and really make them defend the findings, and it can be interesting. In event impact analysis, same kind of thing, but here, instead of a city, they're giving them an event. Now, that event can be an earthquake, that event can be an Olympics or F1 racing, or it could be anything you can dream up. When we did in one case, I've done the Pope, when the Pope visited the Philippines, we did that one. The range of different events. I mean, you could pick hundreds, thousands of different events. You could choose terrorism, and of course, what a lot of schools are thinking about right now, and especially for a summer project, they're thinking about COVID-19. And so one professor is going to give use COVID-19 as the event, but you're going to then see the impact of that on multiple cities around the world, and they're going to come back and they're going to all base it upon that. The feasibility study is a new hotel. I'm going to build a new hotel in Gold Coast. I want to build a luxury hotel on the Gold Coast. Is that feasible or not? And then the economic analysis is for a country. And that's where we basically look at all the economic data for a country, and we correlate it to all the hotel data for a country. So we help connect the dots for your students between what they learned in their economics class back to the hotel industry. So one of the four projects they have to pick. Yes, Jane.
Sorry, can I give you a quick last few minutes wrap up? Because we're actually just past 7 o'clock now, and we're still going to have Q&A at the end. Just to give you, I'm holding up your 2-minute card.
Almost done. Yes. So this can be personalized for a university. Let us know. We have great testimonials, perfect for capstone or masters. It is the cost of this is $150. We anticipate when we launch this for industry, we anticipate the cost for industry will be in the neighborhood of $750 for industry, just to give you an idea. So here are the chapters, the modules. We provide comprehensive PowerPoints for all of these. These programs have in-depth, step-by-step instructions how to do these, so we make it as simple as possible. There are case scenarios built in here. There are templates here. Now, the templates are critical because the students can use the templates when they're doing their own projects, so they don't have to start from scratch. So if I'm studying Amsterdam, I basically get data for Amsterdam, I copy and paste that data and put it into the template. Now, instead of the template showed data for a different market, but boom, now it shows data for Amsterdam, and I figure out what's going on in Amsterdam. Makes it as easy as possible. So the key there is the templates are available for the project that they do, but they can also take those templates to their first job or keep them for their whole career, and they can continue to rely upon those. And as I said, those templates are going to be better than the ones that their employer might have. Exercises in here, input from other academics. This is a little bit more about the student projects, which I shared with you, and you get the idea of how you can utilize those student projects. You can personalize those, of course. We are taking, given the current circumstances, we're making it possible for you to do the kata totally online. We have videos that you can use to train, that present the material. So we're trying to make this possible. If you've never done this before and you're not, and you don't have that level of experience, you can use the videos, assign it, give the PowerPoint to the students, the exams online. We can help you with virtual projects. lots of schools are doing these projects online, and we'll be glad to make that possible. Here's a description of the kata. Here's the, you can see the outline is pretty thorough. There's a lot of content in here, so students are going to walk away with an incredible amount of information here. And as I mentioned, the revenue management is under construction. And here is how to get back to us if you're interested. My email is shood@str.com. Please drop me an email if you have any questions or want any more information. And I think I made it, James. Sorry.
Terrific, Steve. Paul here. Thanks very much for that very, very comprehensive insight into all of the services that are offered by the Share Centre. Now, we'll open to Q&A. We've got a couple already. One in particular from Clive, asking about certification programs. So both Peter and Steve's presentations addressed the certification. Steve, certainly in that last part of his presentation. But Peter, can I jump across to you and ask for you to step us through the key elements of your certification programs, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main program we have is the Hospitality Business Acumen program that I mentioned. I mentioned that that's split into 4 modules, but I didn't go into too great a depth as to what those modules include. So the first module is all focused around how we target business priorities. Now, the key focus there is how we use financial statements to determine action. So as I mentioned, the key focus around this whole certification is translating the theory around what we've learned within a classroom or our educational context, and then putting that into an industry context. The second module is focused on how we manage those business priorities. So that's how we use lodging metrics that matter. The third module is focused on how we lead those business priorities. So that's how we actually communicate those priorities, how we talk about things, how we react to things, how we talk about things within meetings. So that's all about that communication aspect and how we work with different personalities as well, and different levels, because if we're more of an entry level role, then we're going to need to know how to work with people at a more senior level. And then the final module focuses on how we partner with owner priorities. Now that's not just hotel owners, but that's business owners or department owners. And that's how we can partner in those goals to achieve the overall objectives. So the key focus around the whole program is to ensure that students have the knowledge they need to be able to work in those environments. And it is very important to say that it's very different to the cheer. It's in no way a competition with that. It's completely different. The two would work very well either alongside each other or done in any which order. So that's a brief overview of the program. As I mentioned, it culminates with a 50-question exam at the end. So it does have a similar structure to the cheer in that regard. And again, at the end of the process, people would have that hospitality business acumen certificate. And again, that's a really valuable thing to be able to share when students are going out into the industry looking for jobs, etc., because it will help them to learn those skills. And of course, then it will help them to be able to talk about the things that they've done.
Terrific. Thank you for that, Peter. Now, can I just hold you there for a moment, though? In terms of this certification, is this something that you, in terms of your experience, is this something that would sit within the curriculum of a course? Have you got partners who are having students doing, I don't know, 3 or 4 units or subjects and therefore getting the qualification, or others doing it as an extracurricular activity that they're asking students to do over and above their formal studies?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We've got both. So when we first started this, it was focused around being something that was delivered alongside the utilization of our simulation programs. So it was very much a case of students went and completed elements of the simulation, and they completed one module of this every other week throughout a course, and then the elements of this were brought in alongside the curriculum. So that's how the program began. So it works very well in that respect if people want to put this within a curriculum, either alongside one of our other programs, the simulations, or alongside other elements that you're already delivering. But we've also now recently developed the program so that it works very well in its own right as well. So now it can be extracurricular, so that students can go forward in their own time at their own pace. They could still choose if they want to do one module per week, or they could choose and they can go through the whole program in its entirety. So both options are available.
And if I may ask a follow-up, then I suppose the really smart thing amongst some of our colleagues would be to create the shell of a subject or a module or a unit, and then literally pick your program up and drop that straight into that, provided that there's a sort of volume of learning alignment at the academic level.
Absolutely. So yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Steve, can I ask for your thoughts on that, please?
Sure. Two things that I had thought of. One is, and I failed to mention this as I was sharing before, the CHIA is a great match with Peter's simulation programs. Matter of fact, in the CHIA, in section 3, we even recommend, we propose 2 alternatives at the end of section 3. One would be a quick alternative, but then a more a better alternative would be to utilize Peter's simulation program. And we've done CHIA training, along with Peter, where at the end of section 3, we walk out of the room and say, hey, now Peter's going to show you how to run the simulation program. And so it's going to apply.
Is it just me, or did we just lose Steve?
We did, yeah. I could carry on because obviously Steve was mentioning the point that was working together on that. Steve, are you back?
Oh,
no,
back.
He's back.
So anyway, that works great. In terms of the classes, as I sort of mentioned, the CHIA works great in like a logic operations or revenue management. Now, some offer the CHIA in more of a capstone or strategic class. The kata works really well in a strategic, in that kind of capstone class for undergraduates. We're seeing many universities now that are offering, some sort of course with analytics in the terminology. And so if you have a course dedicated to analytics, it would not be, it'd be totally possible to deliver the CHIA in the first couple weeks of that, and then transition into the kata. The big advantage of the kata, of course, is it's the project. So if you're doing the project, that's important. In a master's class, the kata is a perfect fit. Matter of fact, we're seeing many schools utilize the kata in a master's program where they don't just do one project, but they do multiple projects. And so just a little bit about classes and where people are fitting the certifications.
Okay, I'm mindful of the time. We've got a couple of other questions coming in, but I want to just draw a couple of key themes together. So firstly, in terms of modality and means of delivery, both programs can be offered online. Certainly the share center data can be downloaded and analysed and worked offline, and certainly Peter, your data after the simulation can be taken down offline and analysed and worked. So the students can work both online and offline. The work can be both synchronous and asynchronous. The students can work together with a professor or a teacher or instructor in real time, but then they can also go away and work away on their own. Whilst certification is an individual activity, a lot of the learning activities can be done in group mode or in individual mode. And also, particularly with the share center data, that can be positioned as an action research project for the students, particularly for local markets or identified markets. And I suspect, Peter, and again, you may have a view here, the idea of an industry mentor, perhaps working with the students through some of the simulations, could also be an interesting value-added experience for them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, having any external, especially someone like that, to help give some feedback on the decisions and the reports that are coming through. Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that worth slotting in there, I know Steve was mentioning the scenarios and things that are built in. One of the things that we're working on at the moment is going to be a version of our hotel simulation program, which is going to simulate the coronavirus crisis, and students would then be able to step into the position of managing a hotel coming out of this COVID-19 situation, because that's obviously going to be something which all the hotels in the world are going to be doing for real. So that's something which we're producing as I speak, and that's something which will be available to anyone who wants to use it.
Fantastic, excellent. So not only do we have all of those benefits, but we've actually got the data and the scenarios to locate our students in the real world, as crazy-ass as the real world is at the moment. Sorry, poor Australian language there, but
technical term, right?
Yes, it is. It's a very technical term. Okay, so one of the things that's emerging from this for me is that we started talking about this in response to COVID-19 and how do we deal with this. But as you and Steve would know, these resources and materials precede COVID-19 and will endure long past COVID-19, and in fact may well create new avenues and new opportunities for us to think very cleverly about hotel, hospitality and resort and tourism education. I'll just sort of invite you to make a quick 2-minute response to that, Peter, and then for you too, Steve.
Yes, absolutely. And obviously very valid point that, you know, these things that we're both talking about are not all new things. These are things that Steve and I have been delivering for many years and will do for many years to come. And a lot of what we've been talking about is how these things can help during this period, and then also how they can help coming out. I think one of the main things that we've been hearing a lot as a company has been the fact that there's 2 parts to this, I think. We know that things are going to get better after this. We just don't know when or how quickly. So the best things that we can be doing are being ready to react when we do come out of this situation. And the second thing, especially in the immediate aftermath of all of this, is that the industry is going to be in recovery mode, and that things that were already very competitive, like competition for jobs or internships, are going to be even more so. So the more that your students can be upskilling themselves and improving themselves, then the better chances they're going to have of being stronger when they move into the industry. And all the things that both Steve and I have talked about are the things that are going to help the students with that. So that would be the 2 main points that I'd say I'd come back on for that.
Fantastic, thank you. And Steve, your thoughts?
As you can tell, Peter and I work closely together. So what he said
just the accents that are different.
That's it. And the other thing that I can say that I could add in, and I'm speaking on both of our behalves, is really the power of both of our programs is related to you guys, because we are not building these programs in a vacuum somewhere. We're building them with you. You know, we're working hand in hand with you guys, and the power of both of our programs is you. It's your input, it's your ideas. We're, you know, in the trenches with you, and professors, creative professors. Detlef, you just sent me a creative idea, and you know, so we're taking those kinds of things and saying, oh, that's a great idea. Let's figure out how to incorporate that, or you figure out how to put that in, and that's really, you know, that's really the power. I still remember when we launched the Share Center. gosh, back in 2011, we did it by bringing a group of professors just like the ones on this call together in a room and saying, hey, how can we help? What do we have? We feel like we could better help you. And we got great input, and we're still getting great input. The power of both of our programs is really not Peter or I, even though he's a pretty talented guy. It's you guys, because you're really making these things what they are. And so we appreciate that. We appreciate all your hard work during this time. And I know you guys are learning, doing things you might not have been doing before, and learning things you might not have been doing before. So if there's any way either of us can help you, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd be more than glad to jump on the phone and talk, or do whatever we can to help you.
Terrific. Thank you for that. Now, I just wanted to sort of tie a couple of those things together. So we've got a variety of modalities that we spoke about. There's clearly the technical skills and knowledge of the analysis and the market understanding and the operations understanding. You both mentioned an awful lot of soft skills, though, the negotiation, the teamwork, the collaboration, the critical thinking, the judgment required for risk taking. So they're also value adds for this beyond the simple technical, well, they're not simple, but beyond the technical skills of revenue analysis or whatever it might be. And the other value add, obviously, is that certification, that that formal piece of paper from your respective organisations with the backing of the various industry and professional groups just adds a sort of extra bow to our students' portfolio of their qualifications and their academic experience to help them in the job market, which, as Peter indicated, is going to be brutally competitive over the next couple of years as the industry very slowly but very surely gets back on its feet. Now, after that, I've got still a couple of questions. I think this one's more in your remit, Peter, and that is asking about technical skills, culinary and food and beverage technical skills, and is there something we can do for students in that space?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really glad someone asked that. So we have a huge number of programs, and one of the programs I didn't mention to you was a program that we partner with another organization on, which is called KP Education. Now, this program delivers exactly what the question is asked around how we can deliver the practical skills around culinary. So the KP curriculum resource essentially is an online learning environment which includes chapters on everything you can imagine around culinary arts. So career pathways, menu development, safety, sanitation, restaurant management, knife skills, stocks and sauces, pastry techniques, and it includes over 2,500 assessment questions, lots of video content, and all of that content is customizable so that you as teachers can decide both which modules you want to teach to the students, and also within those modules which sections you want to make available. It also allows you to assess their knowledge as they move forward because they're taking the questions, so you can view how well they're doing, and you can give them help and support and feedback as they go through. It's a really powerful library of resources. It allows the students to master the content, and it allows you as teachers to get instant reporting on their progress via a dashboard. It also includes things around competency testing and around things like the Safe Serve exams as well. So that's a really, really valuable resource. So if there's any of you who are out there who are looking to try and teach these culinary skills, then do get in touch with me, and I'll be very happy to tell you more about that and get you set up with a demo, or hopefully get you up and running fully with the program, because it's a really powerful resource.
Fantastic, thank you. Quick question, is it synchronous online, or is it something that can be downloaded and worked through offline?
It is online, and so the students can go in, they can access at their own time, in their own time, at their own pace, but it is accessed online. Some of the elements can be downloaded, and one of the things that I did mean to mention earlier but didn't mention, and I think this is very much the same with Steve and all the programs there, everything's designed for very low bandwidth. So we do understand there are issues around people with the speed of technology and things like that. Internet connections are going to be important, but as long as you've got an internet connection, you'll be able to utilize any and all of these programs.
Fantastic, thank you. Any other questions? I'm just having a look. We've got a couple of minutes left, but we've done that one. We've done that one. There was a question about, is this addressing COVID-19, or will we need to address COVID-19? But again, you've answered that one for us as well, in that we will, with a bit of luck, well, we've already got some COVID-19 data from Steve, and Peter, in your scenarios, we will in the not too distant future see a COVID-19 scenario. Beautiful. Okay, colleagues, we're smack on time. It's been a fabulous session this evening, this afternoon, or very early this morning. I'd like to, on your behalf, thank our two presenters, Peter Russell and particularly Steve, for getting up. In the Australian vernacular, we describe this as getting up at the sparrows at an incredibly early hour of the day. Steve, are you going to power on, or are you going to go back and catch a few more hours sleep?
Hey, I'm working on my next webinar, so but great data coming out, and I don't know how many of you have been seeing the data in China, and you know, as you know, China is about 8 weeks ahead of us, and so that's what I'm looking at right now, and so very hopeful. You know, some very hopeful data that we're seeing in China even now. So stay tuned, and yeah, let me know if you'd like to see some of that in person.
I'm sure you'll get some calls on that one. But look, thank you very much again, Steve. We'll let you get back to that data. Peter, again, thank you very much, and we'll let you get on with your day. And to everybody who's participated, thank you all for your participation and your support. Thank you to our questioners. I hope we've answered your questions. If you haven't, send me a severe email and I'll make sure we get onto something, or we'll get onto that. Now, we're back next week when we're going to be talking about supporting staff and colleagues through COVID-19. So that'll be an opportunity for us to just explore the ways and means by which we can help our colleagues overcome the isolation and the remoteness that is part and parcel of life at the moment. So on that note, I'll thank you all very much for your participation and wish you all the best. Keep safe, keep well, and we'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.